I'm gonna start off by just saying congratulations is in order. And although I know it's a bittersweet type of situation because of the underlying situation with Mr. Hollman, but the settlement, the judgment, it kind of speaks to, and I say kind of because you know as well as I do that Atlanta they don't concede very well when it comes to these type of cases. So for you guys to be able to get a judgment like this is monumental, especially in Metro Atlanta.
That's a true statement. You've been around long enough, brother Bill. You know that Atlanta has historically been what we describe as stubbornly litigious, that they fight. And they fight long and they fight hard. We have cases that have been in battle, in this legal battle for upwards of 4 years, sometimes 5. So this is a very it's different. Bottom line, it's just different. And so there are a number of things that I would like to lift up as what I believe to be contributing factors to this. And I know Attorney Spence has additional commentary around this, but I always, and you know this about our firm, we try to move different because in our spirit is one of being connected deeply in the community, believing deeply in the power of the people. And occasionally as we go out to protest, I'll yell out power to the people because I believe that. We believe that as a firm, that it's in the people, whether those people are in the community willing to protest, go to City Hall, go to, in this instance, candlelight vigils, prayer. We did revivals. We did hip hop concerts. I mean, you name it, this family was engaged in terms of trying to bring awareness about this. But we also, obviously, we believe in the power of the people as they are jurors. We believe that the American part of the judicial system is our ability to get a jury. And what Attorney Spence was working towards and preparing us for was to have to put this case in front of a jury. But because of qualified immunity, because of so many of the pitfalls that are part of civil rights 1983 law, when it's possible, we try to resolve these kinds of cases with settlements such as this. But the people's involvement, the Students at Atlanta University Center, the Concerned Black Clergy, the 10,000 Fearless, the Southern Center for Human Rights. I mean, you name it, the State Conference of the NAACP, the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement. I mean, across the Black political organizing spectrum, Black and our ally came out a part of these protests, a part of these prayer vigils, a part of all of this work. And I believe that they played a role in keeping this front and center and not letting it fade away, as so many cases often do.
I think you need to add to that these are groups that don't ordinarily work together. And so this coming together of all of these groups wasn't organic. It was something that Attorney Mawuli Davis organized. And it's because he's trusted by everyone across the political spectrum, even people with very, very different views, that you had all these diverse groups coming together in this quest for justice. So while you're congratulating our firm, I want to congratulate my law partner and friend, Mawuli Davis, for his absolutely instrumental role in bringing this diverse coalition together. And that bringing together, we know, had a significant impact on the ultimate successful resolution of this matter.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I've seen firsthand what Mawuli does, what the law firm does. You know, I'm with you guys every possible opportunity, especially as related to this particular story, because I thought it was god awful what happened. Anitra, the daughter, she said from the very beginning, we're not the one. It's the wrong family. And she actually meant what she said, and the outcome is proof of how committed they were to making sure that we got some kind, and I say we because I feel a part of the movement. I feel part of,
Absolutely.
it affected me because I drive that corridor all the time, and to see that young officer treat a 60-year-old man that way was problematic for me. So, and it gets a little bit political because I don't have the backing of a big law firm. Well, I got you guys, but I'm saying I'm not CBS, I'm not ABC, I'm not Fox 5, so I have to walk real careful as it relates to what I put out there. But this one, it didn't matter to me what the repercussions could have been or might have been, because I wanted to be on the right side of justice. And this justice for y'all is a justice for all of us.
Well, brother, a couple things that I think, again, we're always looking to make ourselves available for an opportunity to work with you and share. You have been at the tip of the spear on so many of these police-involved killings that you're a part of the social justice ecosystem, right? We talk about where we have these organizations, these organizers, we have progressive Black churches, but we also have media that allows for a unfiltered, honest voice to be heard. And that has been a role that you've played and your company has played over the years that I think has been critically important in this work, and has really, you were embedded during the protests in 2020. You were just everywhere, and you were getting content that no one else could obtain because of the fact that you're trusted. And James Baldwin talked about the difference in being an observer and being a witness. And when he says it, because he put it in the context of him as a writer, as an artist, that he was a witness to the movement and not an observer. An observer is someone that stands to the side, that is, is invested, but a witness is someone who has passion, is changed and transformed by their experience of being a part of something. They are a witness. And I would say that you, your company, have been witnesses to what has happened here in Atlanta. And there's so much more work to be done. And this family's not done yet. They have fought courageously. And I know they will continue, but we will continue to need witnesses such as yourself to be present, to be passionate, and to be engaged in this continual struggle against oppression.
I really appreciate those words, sir, because, a lot of times I'm out here, like you say, and I don't know the level of, what's the word I want to use? Effectiveness. I want to help effectuate change, but I don't know. We do the cases and then we move on. And unlike this particular case, a lot of times there's no resolution. So I get frustrated because I'm like, okay, here we go again. But the fact that I know that you guys are in it the way you are, and to see this, like I said, for the family, for the law firm, for the city, it's a message to everybody. Stick-to-itiveness is what it requires for us to effectuate change. And you guys are just the consummate professionals on every level, even when it's tough. Because I asked you one day, Mawuli, how do you continue to deal with all of these stories every single day? Because I have to some days just walk away from this stuff because it's just so deep. And you're dealing with the lives of people that is on a whole different level than what I deal with. And I just don't know how you guys muster up the strength to continue to fight.
It's easy, as Mawuli Davis.
I want Attorney Spence to share a couple different thoughts about the city's role as well. But I want to say this, and I'll be quiet for a few minutes, is that we have such a beautiful team. Attorney Spence is a gentleman's gentleman. He is an absolute professional, but he is also a deeply spiritual man. And when you align your life and your purpose with your profession, God blesses that. The ancestors acknowledge that. And you see that from Attorney Spence every day. He comes in, and I imagine that there is some place where C.B. King and Constance Baker Motley and Johnny Cochran are sitting and taking note, and they would be lifting up Harold Spence as a man after their own hearts, a lawyer after their own hearts, who fights with his whole heart for our people. And I want to undergird that it takes a team, everybody that's a part of Davis Bozeman and Davis Bozeman Johnson have to love our people deeply, beyond our injuries, beyond the pain that we often see. And Attorney Spence helps lead us in loving Black folk, poor folk, and people that have been disenfranchised and marginalized.
Thank you for those kind words, Attorney Davis. Attorney Davis created a T-shirt for our firm, and that T-shirt says, "We are not self-made, we are community-made." And we really do believe that we are community-made. And in thinking about this case, while the direct harm was to Deacon Johnny Hollman, he was the only one who lost his life, the indirect harm was to the community. So it was only fitting that because there was harm to the community, that the community would come together as one to protest this injustice and to try to see that this wrong be righted. That's been partially done on the civil side by the resolution of the civil case against the city of Atlanta. But the work continues, and the community will continue to be with the Hollman family as we pursue full justice, because we know that partial justice is really just injustice disguised. So we'll continue to fight to have criminal charges levied against the former police officer and the tow truck driver.
Now, in regards to the tow truck driver, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a possible pending settlement with that as well. Is that something that we could talk about?
Attorney Davis, right?
You go ahead, Attorney Spence.
Sure. We filed two separate lawsuits, one against the tow truck company and its driver, another in federal court against the city of Atlanta, the police chief, and the former officer, Kyron Kimbrough. So the latter federal case is the one that was settled for the $3.8 million. We also resolved the case against the tow truck driver and the towing company. They had insurance coverage, and we resolved that matter for the insurance policy limit of $2 million. We didn't want to let the tow truck driver get out unscathed, so we also entered into a separate agreement with him where he will have to pay money out of his pocket to the family for the next year. It's not a tremendous amount of money, but we wanted him to have to think about this family each time he has to write a check to them for each of the next 12 months. So we were able to successfully resolve that case against the towing company and its driver as well.
The importance of this next thing that I'm going to say is what I feel that the audience really needs to know, and how profound this settlement really is the fact that the city of Atlanta proper does not carry general liability insurance, right? That's been the big elephant in the room for a long time. And I'll say this because I know it to be true. I'm really one of the only ones that continue to speak about this, because when we're in the room with other media, and I brought it up in other media, and they back off this thing. But the fact is that because the towing company had insurance, you were able to settle with their insurance company. However, if the city didn't have or doesn't have general liability insurance, then that means you had to settle with the city. In my opinion, and you correct me if I'm wrong, the city is not going to have the bandwidth to keep paying $3.8 million if another tort or another situation like this occurs. So I'd imagine that they're going to really tighten up on the police department for no other reason than to say, you guys can't be doing this because we can't keep paying out these judgments. How close am I to being correct?
I'll give you my thoughts, and then I'll let Attorney Spence share as well, because you're absolutely right. The city does not have insurance over on its officers, and so most citizens don't know that. And so when you see some of these mammoth settlements being resolved in other municipalities around the country, that's not Atlanta. And so when it's almost like being in a venue where everything is just kind of pushed down in terms of value. And that exists here because it's coming out of the coffers of the city of Atlanta. And if the city is not in it and it's just the officer in it, then your odds of recovering anything for an injured citizen of Atlanta, it goes down tremendously, right? So if only the officer's in the case and the city of Atlanta is not in the case, because you have to show a practice pattern in terms of conduct by the city to keep them in. And if somehow they get out of the case and the only defendant left standing is that sole officer, they won't even indemnify the officer in many cases. And so the officer is out there, someone who is working a job, who while on the job, either injured or killed someone, they don't have any protection or coverage either. And so it's not a good situation for police officers, and definitely not for injured Atlanta citizens. And so it's tough. And unfortunately, we have not seen that the recovery or settlement of these cases has fundamentally transformed or changed the culture of policing in Atlanta. It doesn't appear to be that way. And Attorney Spence can take a deeper dive into that. However, we will say that in this instance, Mayor Andre Dickens, as well as the outgoing city attorney, Nina Hickson, played a tremendous role in bringing closure for this family in what we have to say a very short period of time, which is 9 months. That's very uncommon, and you know that. So
yeah,
Attorney Spence can add on to their role as well as his thoughts about the lack of insurance the city of Atlanta has.
There are many municipalities in Metro Atlanta that have insurance. We litigate against a lot of them. Why the city of Atlanta has chosen not to have insurance is just still unclear to us. There is a city ordinance that says if the city attorney determines that it's not in the best interest of the city of Atlanta to pay for something that an officer has done, the city of Atlanta can do like Pontius Pilate and merely wash its hands of those officers if it's not a party in the case. And no matter how great or how small the judgment that you get against these officers, the city of Atlanta is not going to contribute one dime, despite the fact that these officers still work for the city of Atlanta, still put their lives on the line every day for the city of Atlanta. It's a strange conundrum that would have the city still employing these officers in this most dangerous profession, but at the same time, refusing to accept responsibility in many instances for undisputed harms that these officers cause.
We can talk about this for hours and hours and hours. So I want to bring it back to the family. First of all, I know this has to be very emotional for the family. And although they have a money judgment, that doesn't bring Mr. Hollman back. So with your last discussion with them, how are they feeling? How are they dealing with all of this? This
has been overwhelming for them. They keep using the language overwhelmed, emotional roller coaster. It's been a lot. It's been a lot because we are clear as legal professionals that the only justice that can be delivered in the American civil justice system is monetary damages. We're clear about that. And so we know that. We fight around that issue to try to achieve the maximum recovery. But families is very different because they're fighting. And so this is a part of just a daily getting up, fighting and fighting and fighting. And then when there's some partial closure to that part of the fight, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet because it takes away a part of their identity. Part of the identity that they have built has been to fight for their daddy, right? And so this part of that fight has come to an end. And they're having to regroup, to reimagine how they go forward with this fight now for these criminal charges. Our attention now pivots from the city of Atlanta to the district attorney's office. And so that shift, we do more as a matter of practice, and the family has to adjust to that. And it's been hard, and it's hard. And today was a very, very difficult day for them, and a painful day. And so they are approaching 9 months tomorrow since their father's death. And so it's tough. So we just ask for continued prayers. There will be gatherings in the future that we're going to need folks to come out to not only support this family, but to continue this fight until we win, as Attorney Spence raised up, full justice, full and complete justice.
The siblings reminded us the other day when we were meeting with them that next month we'll celebrate Father's Day. And this will be their first Father's Day without the patriarch of their family. And so while on the legal front, we may pivot, on the emotional front, they'll never pivot. And they'll always retain the memory of their patriarch and the lessons taught by their patriarch in their hearts.
It's just so sad. I mean, this was senseless. I remember early on Mawuli expressing the senselessness of this. And, I don't wish anybody to go to jail at all. But in this particular instance, that young man was wrong. He was wrong. And it's obvious because I guess the city council and the mayor and others saw it that way. So, again, kudos to you guys for all that you've done with this family and you've been doing throughout for other families. And hopefully this is just the start for accountability and justice for many families that you guys represent.
We appreciate you, brother. And again, and we lift up the fact that you are a part of this social justice ecosystem that is even able to deliver some semblance of justice for this family in this civil way. And we know that where the people are, you will be. So we thank you for that.
I appreciate it. And onward and upward.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Straight ahead, like Matu said.
That's it. All right, gentlemen. Going to end it here. But you guys be well, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, bro.
Take care.
We'll
Thank you so
soon.
much.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.